Good evening, I'm David Brown, and welcome to the Northern Sun Experience. All season long, Minnesota State softball has been the cream of the crop in the NSIC. The Mavericks entered the conference tournament having won 20 consecutive games and seemed well on their way toward entering the Central Region with momentum. After winning their first 3 games of the NSIC tournament, all MSU had to do was await their opponent on Saturday in the championship. And that opponent ended up being Winona State, with the Warriors hoping to force a second and decisive game in the championship. We're scoreless in the bottom of the 4th, but MSU's Ashley Thel changes that in a hurry. Deep to left and gone, her 6th home run of the season. Solo shot gives the Mavericks a 1-0 lead, and that would be more than enough for pitcher Coley Reese. The NSIC's pitcher of the year only got better as the game went on. She gets McKenna Larson swinging in the top of the 6th, and then she ends the inning with another strikeout, this time on Mariah Schultz. 7th inning, last chance for the Warriors, and Reese simply shuts the door. She gets Allison Nowak swinging here, and then Jamie Schleiss is caught looking, and that would do it. Reese strikes out 10, including the last 6 batters in a row. Minnesota State wins the NSIC Softball Tournament Championship 1-0 to secure their place in the Central Region. Afterwards, Reese and MSU head coach Lori Meyer discussed endurance throughout the course of the season and getting better as the year went along.
At the end, there in the 6th and 7th, I thought she really turned it up a notch again too, and kept spinning the ball very well, not trying to do too much, just kept spinning the ball, hitting her spots, and getting those strikeouts, which was huge for us.
It's my senior year, so I just wanted to go out with no regrets, go out with a bang, do everything I possibly could, and reach goals that I hadn't reached yet, and I hadn't thrown a perfect game in college. So that was one of my goals going into the season, and 100 wins was one of my goals, 30 wins in a season. So I think it was just about being able to put the goals out there and then working hard throughout the year to try to attain it.
She's just a flat-out competitor, and when you're working with a student athlete that's just a flat-out competitor that has that heart and doesn't know how to stop and things, and then it just gives our team confidence, and we just feed off that too with that and go with that. And we do. The defense and everybody, they just play so hard behind her because they just know what she is capable of doing and how hard she's working on the mound.
The win gave Minnesota State an automatic berth in the 8-team double elimination NCAA Central Region Tournament, which is split into 2 4-team sections. The Mavs, as the number 2 seed, host the Central 2 Regional and took on the number 7 seed Augustana in the first round earlier on Thursday. The winner of that game will face the winner between number 3 Central Oklahoma and number 6 Pittsburgh State from the MIAA on Friday. Besides the Mavericks and the Vikings, the Warriors from Winona State nabbed the 4th overall seed in the region, and they are in the Central 1 Regional. They took on the 5 seed Southern Arkansas earlier on Thursday. The winner of that matchup will face the victor between the number 1 and host school Harding and the 8 seed from Missouri Western State on Friday. Meanwhile, the Central Region Women's Golf Tournament wrapped up at Minnehaha Country Club in Sioux Falls on Wednesday, and the host school Augustana is moving on. The Vikings as a team finished 2nd with a combined score of 64 over par. As a top 3 finisher, Augustana has qualified for the NCAA National Golf Championships, which will take place May 17th through the 20th at the Findlay Country Club in Findlay, Ohio. Sierra Langley was the highest individual finisher for Augustana, tied for 2nd place at +11. In addition to the women's golf regional wrapping up, the men's regional did as well this week at Awari Dunes in Nebraska, and unfortunately, Augustana's Parker Klitsky just missed the mark. The junior had a fabulous tournament, finishing a combined 14 under par, good enough for 3rd place. But only the top 2 individuals qualify for the national tournament. Nevertheless, a fantastic season overall for Klitsky, who will certainly be determined next season to get over the hump. Well, when we come back, we go from one diamond to another and look ahead to the NSIC Baseball Tournament.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back. Just like softball, Minnesota State baseball is also the best of the best in the NSIC. Heading into the final weekend of the regular season, the Mavs had already clinched the top spot in the conference tournament, but they faced a tough test in their final series against the 2nd best team in the conference, Augustana. To Ronkin Field we go, first of a doubleheader on Friday. The Vikings had the pitching going early. Dalton Lehnen gets Luke Waldeck swinging. He had 9 strikeouts in the ball game. Bottom of the 2nd, Lehnen gets all the run support he needs. Ford Schrader goes deep to left. Solo shot gives Augustana a 1-0 lead. Laney continuing to work later on gets Josh Wenzel to chase. The Vikings would take this game 1-0. They would split the 4-game series overall with the Mavericks, but some good momentum heading into the conference tournament. And in that conference tournament in St. Cloud, the first round went about as expected. Here are your Thursday matchups in the double elimination tournament, with the championship set for Saturday afternoon. Well, speaking of baseball, earlier this year, a former Minnesota Duluth baseball and football star got inducted into the school's Athletic Hall of Fame. Tim Battaglia is featured in the first of 2 parts in tonight's Under the Northern Sun Alumni Feature, in a sit-down interview with Zach Schneider.
We are joined right now by UMD soon-to-be Hall of Famer Tim Battaglia. Thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it. And I say soon-to-be. I mean, next month is when the official induction ceremony is. Have you gotten used to that? Cloquet native, 2-sport, all-conference athlete, and now a Hall of Famer at UMD?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It does sound good when you hear other people say it. But no, a pleasure to be here, Zach. And yeah, very honored to be in this group going in 2017. So.
Take me back to that call when you found out that you were going to be in this year's class. What were the feelings that went through you?
Yeah, like we kind of talked a little bit off air, is you never really think of it when you get done. Yeah, I had a pretty fairly successful career going to school there, and was fortunate to be a member of 2 good sport teams with baseball and football. But you get out of there, you do what you can, and it's never really anything you think about. So when I got the call, I think it was early September from Bob Nygaard up there at UMD, and yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I'm honored to be a part of the group. I got 4 other very deserving people going in with me, so I'm excited. It's been fun.
2 really good teams that you were a part of, 2 good eras for
Sure.
football and baseball. Start with football. You were part of the first ever team to go to the national tournament. You're the leader in catches, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. Those records still stand. What's your biggest memory from playing at Molosky Stadium?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, talking about the records. My brother Steve, I was fortunate to play with him 3 years in football up there. He got redshirted and I didn't, so it was fun to split out and play opposite my brother. And he was the record holder there for a year. But now, I mean, he's still number 2 on all the lists, so he had a very successful career too. And he often jokes with me that my numbers are where they are because he was getting double teamed across the field. So, but no, like you talked about, being a member of the first national playoff team in football, and then later that spring in baseball. So, very fortunate, and just a lot of exciting and good memories up there.
There weren't probably a lot of really prolific wide receivers under Coach Molosky because of his 3 yards and a cloud of dirt philosophy. But since there's been a lot of really good wide receivers. Is it amazing to you that some of those records are still atop those UMD lists?
It is. It's, like you said, going from Molosky, where they probably ran the ball 90% of the time. We had Nielsen there when he came in, and I got to play my career under Bob. We'd throw the ball 30 times a game, and we thought, geez, this is fun, right? And now, you got, Schwager coming in after, and Weezy, now they're throwing it 50, 60 times a game. So, but yeah, it is. It's never anything, records are meant to be broken, right? And they're going to get broken at some point. But it's been fun. There's been some good ones come through, like you said, with, Winfield and Aker and my brother. But it's been fun. It's not something you expect to hold on to for that long, but I'll take it while I'm there.
And then in the spring, you switched over to baseball. Again, the first ever team to go to the national tournament. You were a part of that in 2003. You hold an all-time record there, hitting .411 for your career, 5 shutouts as a pitcher too. So that was more offense and defense when you got to baseball in the spring.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it was one of those things where I always joke around with all the guys I played with. I played football and baseball, like you said, and I always got to miss out on the not so fun parts with the spring football to roll around, and I'd be playing the real baseball season. And then likewise with football, the guys weren't too thrilled about football in the off season, so I was playing the other sports. So, but yeah, I had a lot of good guys on that team. Fostered some good friendships with everybody, and it was quite a junior year for me. I got to be a part of the football team going to the national playoffs for the first time, and then later that same spring as a junior in baseball. So, it was fun. We had a lot of different guys come in and be a big part of those teams, and it was a whirlwind of a year, that's for sure, and it was fun to try some new things and bring the programs to new heights at the time.
When we come back, part 2 of our Under the Northern Sun feature on Tim Battaglia. Welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience, where it's time to name 2 more members to the NSIC's 25th anniversary team. Congrats to former Concordia St. Paul pitcher Jake Schmidt. The the 2009 NSIC and Central Region Pitcher of the Year. He also led the NCAA that season in strikeouts per game. And congrats to former Wayne State hurler Brady Borner. A two-time conference pitcher of the year, Borner is second in Division II history with 13 shutouts. He was drafted in the 31st round of the 2001 MLB draft by the Pittsburgh Pirates. And now back with part 2 of the sit-down interview with UMD multi-sport athlete Tim Battaglia.
We still see from time to time some two-sport athletes at UMD that come through, and I don't know if any of them necessarily have reached the heights that you reached on both teams, and maybe one or the other, but
Sure.
What did it mean to you that you were able to play both sports and kind of continue both of your passions at UMD?
Yeah, I was fortunate to play, under two great head coaches with Bob Nielsen and Scott Hanna. I don't think anything like that will ever work if the coaches aren't working together. I visited a few other schools before, deciding on UMD, even though they had the upper hand the whole way. But, the coaches were great. A lot of other schools won't allow that, and it worked out great around here that both coaches were up for it. And, again, very successful in both sports with a lot of good players. We had Joe Cornetta, who's got some baseball records that played, and, Greg Akers. So there were a couple when I was there, and I'm not sure, to this day if it's still quite like it used to be, but with everything getting so specialized, it was definitely nice that I was able to do that.
And just one thing about success past UMD, tryouts in the NFL, Dallas Cowboys come to mind, and then drafted in Major League Baseball by the Cleveland Indians. So, I mean, you had the opportunity and certainly the career at UMD that kind of afforded you some additional opportunities and some more fun, I guess, after you left.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it was a whirlwind time for me. I got drafted after my junior year in baseball, and they wanted me to leave right away. We had a good football team coming back, like we talked about, just going to the national playoffs my junior year. I wasn't ready to leave school then, and had some hopefully football prospects down the road too. And then football came around and had a couple tryouts with a couple NFL teams. So they went as good as they could go. I did the tryouts, thought potentially might latch on with the team, but things didn't work out, and it's obviously a tough gig to crack at that level. But it's been fun to see now guys in the last few years under Nielsen and Weezy again, with Odom going through and some of those guys, some of the linemen now. Hopefully I'd like to say that maybe some of the guys I came up with maybe kind of helped put UMD a little bit on the map, and they've obviously taken it to new heights since I got out of there with the 2 national championships. So.
That's all about the past, and let's talk about the future. Next month, what do you think the emotions are going to be when you see that plaque and see your name and you're officially a part of this Hall of Fame?
Yeah, like I said, it's exciting. It's never anything you think about, and I can get all the phone calls and all the congratulations before right now, but until that day rolls around, when you're sitting there and actually hearing your name called and looking at the slideshow and that kind of thing, it's really going to hit home at that time. But it's exciting. There's been so many good athletes come through UMD and various sports, and just to have your name mentioned in that category I'm pretty excited, I'm not going to lie.
When we come back, we begin our countdown of the top 40 NSIC Plays of the Year. Welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. For the 3rd straight season, we've compiled some of the best plays from across the NSIC. From spectacular catches to buzzer beaters and so much more, here now are the top 40 plays of the year. And at number 40, MSU Moorhead's Aaron Lean is breaking ankles. The Dragon senior crosses over Minot State's Trevor Rothstein and glides in for the easy layup. Lean had a spectacular final campaign for MSUM, ending with an NSIC Player of the Year honor and a spot in the Division II All-Star Game. But his crossover at Minot State on January 6th gets him on our list as the 40th best play of the season. We'll stick with the Dragons for play number 39, but switch to the gridiron. Wide receiver Damon Gibson makes the leaping grab at the end zone for a touchdown against Sioux Falls. Take another look, Demetrius Carr lobs it up and Gibson snatches it over the head of the Cougars defender Cliff Redman. That was one of Gibson's numerous scores during a record-setting season, where he set new school marks in receiving yards with 1,459 and 17 touchdowns. Back to the hardwood for number 38. Upper Iowa's Carson Parker with a lob at half court to Jordan Hay for the alley-oop. Parker notices Hay getting in front of the pack and hits him in stride for the layup. While Parker is the assist man on this particular play, he'll be front and center later in our countdown. At number 37, it's our first buzzer beater. After Sioux Falls misses a free throw with 8 seconds to go and down by 1, Minnesota State's Cole Harper takes his time, assesses the defense, and drives for the game-winning layup with 1/10 of a second remaining. Harper doesn't panic and gets the best shot possible for the Mavericks, leaving only 1/10 left in a 1-point victory for MSU. More basketball for number 36, this time from Wayne State. Kendall Jack starts the around-the-world passing and finishes with a two-handed slam on the alley-oop. Watch it one more time, Jacks to Luke Terhardt to Matt Thomas, who eventually lobs it up to Jacks for the finish. A great play designed with great execution from the Wildcats. The rim rocking continues at number 35. St. Cloud State's Gage Davis dekes out Upper Iowa's Jimmy Roth and glides in for the one-handed flush. Nice work in transition by the NSIC's leading scorer, and once he got a clear path for takeoff, Davis took flight. Moving on down to 34, it's number 4 with the finish. Off the steal, Augustana's Jordan Spencer finds a trailing Mike Busak for the two-handed throwdown against SMSU. The graduate transfer from Minnesota State made a huge impact in his one season with the Vikings, providing timely defense and, as you just saw, timely offense as well. Back to football and Busak's former school at number 33. Minnesota State's Brent Esser makes the ridiculous one-handed catch on the sidelines against Wayne State. Check it out again, Nick Piericini rolls out and lobs it up for Esser, who adjusts and uses his right hand against two Wildcat defenders for the spectacular grab. Let's continue our one-handed theme at 32, and in a bit of irony, it's a pass hauling in a catch. St. Cloud State wide receiver John Pass snatches this touchdown with one hand against Minot State. Beautiful throw from Huskies quarterback Nate Meyer, who was able to put it where only Pass could get it. And at number 31, another one-handed touchdown, this time from Augustana's Matt Heller. And get used to seeing Heller's name on this list. This touchdown against SMSU is technically his lowest ranked play on the countdown, but that doesn't make it any less spectacular, tapping the ball to himself to haul it in against the Mustangs. Well, that completes our first 10 plays of the season. Our next 10 plays, numbers 30 through 21, are coming up next on the Northern Sun Experience.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. We've shown you plays 40 through 31 of our end of the season NSIC countdown, and we resume now at number 30. And kicking things off is a bounce up from the Peacocks. Upper Iowa quarterback Dimitri Morales finds some open space on the draw, but when he gets tackled, he bounces off the Minot State defender and dives into the end zone for the score. Great awareness by Morales to know he wasn't down and to leap up with the 30th best play of the season. And at 29, it's a little bit of deja vu. Augustana's Matt Heller, whom we last saw at play number 31, decides to copy Morales by bouncing off his defender and running into the end zone against Concordia St. Paul. Whether it's catching with one hand in limited space or using your skills in open space, Heller is well aware of his surroundings and uses his knowledge of all parts of the field to his advantage. For number 28, Minnesota Duluth's Nate Ricci is the ultimate warrior. He gets the punt at his own 38, cuts left, moves back inside, and outruns the rest of Winona State's Warriors for the touchdown. Ricci heads toward the sideline to avoid the first rush of defenders, but finds some creases and heads to the house for the Bulldogs. At number 27, another impressive run from a QB. Sioux Falls' Luke Papillion finds some space on the read option, splits two Minnesota State tacklers, bounces off a third, bounces off a fourth, and makes his way into the end zone. Toughness, versatility, and speed make for a perfect combination for the Cougar quarterback, who powers his way through four Mavericks. Back to the hardwood for play number 26. MSU Moorhead's Johnny Beninga hits a go-ahead layup with 5 seconds left in overtime, but Augustana's Adam Beyer drives the length of the court and hits a reverse layup for the tie with 0.4 of a second remaining. No panic, just pure leadership from a senior and former national champion. Beyer saves the day at least momentarily at 26. And I say momentarily because of play number 25 in the second overtime. Tied at 89 with 3.7 seconds left, MSU Moorhead pulls away on a backdoor cut and layup by Ayub A with 2.4 to go. The play design and most importantly the play execution gave the Dragons their first win over Augustana in nearly 3 years and provided the 25th best play of the entire season. We return to the gridiron at number 24 with more one-handed magic. Minnesota State's Shane Zylstra with an amazing left-handed catch on the sidelines against Sioux Falls. It's the second one-hander caught on a throw from Nick Piericini on this countdown so far, and Zylstra goes full extension on the long pass to haul it in. You want more one-handed catches? Well, you got him at number 23. This time it's Upper Iowa's Jared Edmonds getting in on the fun, snatching the touchdown with his left hand while fighting off a Bemidji State defender. The athleticism on display is off the charts, while the play itself is on our chart at number 23. Let's try some different options at number 22, and by that, of course, I mean a wide receiver option touchdown from Concordia St. Paul. Quarterback Ron Johnson to Alquan Vickers, who sucks the defense in and finds Elias Arlington for a 73-yard touchdown against Minnesota Duluth. A golden play from 3 Golden Bears checks in at number 22. And we conclude the first half of our countdown with yet another option for you at 21, a tight end option. Sioux Falls' Luke Papillion, the tight end Clint Sigg, who fires downfield to Kyle Groneweg on the first play from scrimmage against Upper Iowa. Credit for the ingenuity and a spin on the typical option play to a halfback or wide receiver. This Cougar cleverness creates a perfect cap for the first 20 plays in our top 40 countdown. Once again, a thank you to all of our NSIC member schools. Next week is our season finale and 100th episode overall. Tune in for the top 20 plays of the year on an all-new Northern Sun experience.